Hello, Mark Harry from McCarthy Group. I'm joined today by Stephen McCarthy, CEO of McCarthy Group, and today we're going to tackle the question that's quite topical. It's about the integrity of the building industry, in particular high-rise towers. You might be familiar with probably the most famous of these is Opal Tower, and there's a whole litany of examples that are following in its footsteps, and these are just the ones we know about. Some great information coming your way. Stay tuned. So Stephen, the big question about this whole noise is in terms of building integrity and properties falling down and all that sort of stuff, cracks and whatnot, is why is it starting now? Now, of course, as we know, we've been here since 1788, give or take, and since the first bark hut went up, they've been building towers, and perhaps since the 60s, 1960s or so, these things have been getting taller and taller and taller.
Yep.
And this is across the country. But what we've seen is right here in Sydney, in about the last, or since Christmas Eve 2018, Opal Tower, big call right before the turkey served is let's get out of here. What's happening? Why now?
Yeah, good question. It's not funny. This is a very, very serious threat facing the entire Australian construction industry, and I'm not really seeing any light at the end of the tunnel here. But if your question is why is it happening now? Well, I believe there's a number of reasons. And I'm just going to talk about one of those reasons today. Okay. And that is, it comes back to how developers fund their projects. Now, typically, when a developer goes to the bank to fund his project, the bank, back in the day, so maybe 7 years ago, because this is a problem that's emerging from units that have been built either just coming off construction, or it's certainly over the last 5, 6 to 7 years. So what's happened is that once upon a time, that developer would go to the bank, and the bank would say, yeah, we'll fund you the development, providing you have 50% of your project pre-sold off the plan. And why they did that is because the banks wanted to make sure, A, it's viable, and there was some risk there that the developer wasn't going to end up, they're going to lend all this money to them, and then they're going to try and sell the properties.
And this, of course, is many, many years prior to the first shovel going into the ground,
That's exactly right. Yes, because building anything like that, it's a fairly long commitment.
Like 3 years, 5 years? How long does these things take?
3-5 years, quite easily. It just depends on a number of things. So what's happened is that the bank said, look, 50%. Now, as time has gone on, and the banks increase their minimum pre-sales requirements. So they went from 50% to 60% to 70% to 80% pre-sold before they would fund the project. Now, and in some cases I've heard as much as 100% of the project needs to be pre-sold before the bank would advance the funds for construction.
So all the properties planned to be built must be sold, contracted, before the bank says, yeah, we'll give you the dough.
Yeah, pretty well much, yeah. Now the problem is with that. You think now the bank's saying now it's safe, right? Because it's all sold. There's no risk. When it settles, all the customers that have bought, their banks will give them the money, so it's a no-risk proposition, or so they thought. But the problem is that in a boom, as we've seen here in Sydney, so not only do prices, the value of properties rise, but so do construction costs. So does the labour costs, the plumber, the electrician, the painter, the brick supplier. Everybody puts their prices up. And this is exactly what happens. This is actually fuels why prices rise, because construction costs rise. Now here's the thing, that if we are the developers and we have sold, say, 80% of our project off the plan, and we haven't yet started construction, we can't increase those prices.
So those 80% are locked in?
They're locked in. They're a fixed price contract. They can't increase it.
Can't increase, okay.
They can't increase. So if our costs, when we did our numbers, we assumed that our construction cost was going to be a certain amount, and we sold those properties based on that number. But if our construction costs rise, as they have, then we are getting squeezed. Our margin's getting squeezed and squeezed and squeezed.
And so that says the only chance to unsqueeze is out of the remaining 20%.
That's right.
If the market...
And, yes, so increase the balance of the selling price, what we haven't sold, is our only option. Or not our only, a second option is let's now cut the quality of our project.
Okay, which is starting to get to the core of this challenge
Exactly
right at this point in time.
There's not enough money to go around.
Okay.
So anywhere it's possible, money is shaved off.
Okay,
Right.
so some obvious ones you'd see in terms of money shaved off would be things like landscaping.
Sure.
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
Just don't have the pool, don't have the basketball court, the barbecues, and no grass, no garden.
Yeah, well, the sales contract will have the specification, but on many of those contracts that I have seen over the years, they just simply has the stove from builder's range. That simply means is whatever the builder can find, and unless it's specified.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the physical construction of the property, you've got someone out there who's working extremely tight margins. He's going to take the cheapest contractor, and I certainly believe that this is an indication of why these properties that have only recently been built are already showing signs of age because of the way they were constructed.
So this is
in the first place.
This is right at the core. The quality of the steel, the quality of the concrete, the depth of things like footings and piers, the final finish off.
We never know what the cause was. We don't know, but I think it's safe to say is that the construction quality has been compromised because prices have not been able to be passed on.
And I guess this works in tandem where years and years ago the building inspector was someone quite independent of the process. The laws were changed, and now you as a developer could go and grab your own guy, grab me.
This is the role of what they call a certifier, an independent certifier. The trouble is with an independent certifier, he's paid by the developer. Now, I'm not casting any dispersions on those certifiers, but there's something wrong with that system when they are perhaps they have also been compromised.
The links
as well.
are too close.
Yeah, and look, this is all going to come out, obviously, over time. It's exactly what's gone wrong.
Yep.
But I would say one of the reasons at the moment this has taken place is a result of the number of pre-sales that the banks required before the developers could start work has led to this problem. That's one of them.
Okay.
And, of course, we're going to be talking in subsequent sessions about what some of those other causes are, and perhaps how does one protect themselves against that?
That's the big
What's
question.
the future going
That's
forward?
the big question.
Yeah, so we'll be addressing that a little later on.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen.
You're welcome, Mark.
Hope you've enjoyed our information today. We've looked into what's happening right now in the building industry, what's causing some of these challenges, and of course this is a little bit Sydney-centric, but this is happening across the country, not just in Sydney, but across Australia. Stay tuned for next week. We're going to pick up this story again, and we'll look into what some of these devastations are and what effect they're having on the investors out there, what it really means to them. So stay tuned, hope you like it, and we'll see you soon.
This cut is fresh.